Navy Federal has a mission to put members first by making their financial goals their priority. Receive a lifetime of membership benefits for your family, accomplish your life missions, get access to financial products designed to fit your needs, 24/7 live support, and access to over 300 branches on or near military bases. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Call 1-888-842-6328 or download the Navy Federal Credit Union app. Message and data rates may apply. Navy Federal is federally insured by NCUA.
This is D.D. Westbrook here with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Just one of us wearing hats today.
Hat Week continues.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Tuesday, October 2nd, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, back once more to gently guide you into Week 5, to reflect on this past week of football, fantasy football implications, and get you ready for your waiver wire tomorrow. And we do have some, there are some pretty interesting names.
Yeah, this is the exact opposite of last week. Last week was like one of the mildest waiver weeks I can remember over the last few years. And this week, there are, I think, some significant pickups.
Yeah. So we also have our quarterback streams of the week. We just brought up on the show yesterday, if you listened in, how incredibly out of control scoring is, specifically total touchdowns scored, the quarterbacks that are going out there and getting it done unexpectedly each and every week. Jared Goff, I'm sure people started. There were several people that started Goff. Not many that started Mitchell Trubisky, the number one quarterback on the week.
You know what is great news? Mitchell Trubisky cannot hurt me this week. He is on bye, so there will be no back-to-back.
Not true.
No.
3 touchdowns.
This week?
This week.
I thought you were going to have like a PTSD situation. I mean,
if
he got you.
If he came out again.
Is Mitchell everywhere?
If he came out again in back-to-back weeks, dominated, I'd feel real bad. So I'm happy about the bye.
I can see him coming down the stairs, and his wife is, cooking something on the stove, and then she turns around, and instead of her face, it's Mitchell Trubisky's face.
Have you tried saying his name 3 times
No.
in front of a mirror?
I would never do such a thing.
And we have some really, really big news to get into as well. You know what? I'm going to pull that out of the news, and I'm going to make it our quick question.
Oh.
Because it's too important.
Oh.
Le'Veon Bell. Maybe you've heard of him. According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, he's expected to report to the Steelers during their Week 7 bye. ESPN's Adam Schefter still reporting that they are expected to be interested in listening to trade offers for Le'Veon Bell. What's the news? What do you expect? And how should fantasy owners approach this? Both the ones with him and the ones without, and James Conner owners.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you need to run with this news right now as what's going to happen. The Steelers they would prefer to trade him, but they're not going to be able to because a new team could not renegotiate a contract until after the season. So, I mean, they want a 2 plus a good player for a rental. Nobody's going to give that up. So I think you're going to see that. Week 8, Le'Veon Bell is back. He will dominate as soon as he is instilled as the starting running back. That is my prediction here, is that they will move away from James Conner. They will not punish Lev Bell any more than him already missing the money checks for the games missed, and he'll be reinstalled. So I think if you're a James Conner owner, I would be willing to shop him far more if someone wants to buy him.
But why would somebody buy him now?
Well, let's say you're the Le'Veon Bell owner.
Okay.
And now you
can insure your investment.
Right. But otherwise you're going to need to get some replacement for James Conner, because I was hopeful as a James Conner owner that Le'Veon Bell would not return to the Steelers this season. You'd have a full season out of James Conner. It looks far less likely.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought. I just pulled up my money league where I have Le'Veon Bell, and this was I pulled an Andy, as we called it at the beginning of the season. It should be called pulled a Mike, because I had James Conner and I dropped him the Sunday night before Le'Veon Bell decided to take back all of his promises on showing up on Monday, and I've been screwed. I've been in a really, really bad running back situation ever since, so I'm taking a look over here of should I, now with the news out there, the person who has James Conner knows he's an expiring asset, go out and try and get him on my team and patch up my running back hole for the time being.
Okay. Well, we'll talk more about it later in the show. Reminder, find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. FootClanGiveaway.com. We're giving away a signed Corey Davis jersey and a championship belt for your league. The website is thefantasyfootballers.com, where you can find all sorts of good stuff, including a fantasy film study Week 5 waiver article today and an injury recap by Matthew Betts. What else is going on, guys? You want to talk about Monday night? You want to talk about Showtime Mahomes?
Oh,
Showtime!
Showtime!
Showtime! Hey, Travis Kelce is my man. It's got to be
So wait. In this situation, which one of you gets to be Booger?
I'm Booger.
Okay,
we all know that.
You're in the Boogmobile?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm Vanilla then. And you're Jason Witten.
Oh, come on.
Sorry.
I don't think anyone's happy with this.
No, certainly. Well, I'm happy that I get that cart to ride around on the sideline.
If they put Jason Witten on the cart without a microphone, I'd be cool with that.
And you stay there.
Listen,
flailing.
he's
driving
confused
around
about his role. He's been signed. He's in a suit. He's on the cart. No one ever hands him a mic. That's the plan. But look, bad announcing aside,
Showtime!
Patrick Mahomes, 28 for 45, 304, one rushing, one passing touchdown, and ultimately the victory here, the comeback victory. Case Keenum, rough game. 245, no touchdowns, one pick, took 4 sacks, and ultimately couldn't make the game-winning throw down the sideline to Demaryius Thomas that would have won the game. I mean, he was wide open.
I went back and watched it. I'm putting a lot of blame on Demaryius Thomas. It looked like he pulled up to me.
He definitely was slow starting the route. He sped up once Case threw the ball, but
Uncatchable.
I think Case overthrew him.
Okay, fair.
It was. I think it's on both players, but more so on Case. And I was disappointed as a stream of the week. In fact, I would say that despite the great game, I mean, it was fantastic football.
It was.
Most all owners are disappointed. I mean, you wanted more from Pat Mahomes, more from Tyreek Hill. You hoped that Case Keenum and Demaryius Thomas, these pieces, would play well. I think it was disappointing for most. If you did not have Travis Kelce
or Kareem Hunt,
you were disappointed.
Kareem Hunt. That was fantastic. I mean,
19 for 121,
Yes.
6.4 a carry, one rushing touchdown, caught another 3 passes, which, by the way, when I say another, I mean 3/4 of his total pass catches on the
Right.
season. I mean, he had 1 target, 1 reception before this.
It was interesting because Kareem Hunt, I mean, he still is on and off the field. Spencer Ware and company are getting on, but Kareem Hunt is clearly the main running back. But he was a focal point of this offense in a way that he has not been thus far. And do you think it was
the game script?
The Denver Broncos made Patrick Mahomes mortal.
Well, yeah, it was ultimately, look, they're on the road. The pass rush is so devastating with Chubb and Miller that, they didn't take one deep shot. 0. I mean, Pat Mahomes did not attempt to go downfield to Tyreek Hill for any over-the-top play because the pass rush was devastating. So, Hunt provided them an opportunity to keep the defense honest, and he did. I mean, he did it to the degree of, look, that my own fantasy matchup came down to the final play of the game. I was facing Kareem Hunt. I had Pat Mahomes. I knew it. I said, if he passes a touchdown here, I win. If he runs it in, I lose, and I lost. But fantasy owners with Kareem Hunt won, and so did those with Travis Kelce.
Has this eased your Kareem Hunt concerns at all, or are you saying big game, this is it, I'm going to try and move Kareem Hunt for someone of equal value?
It's all about the targets and the receptions, and the fact he was involved in all in that capacity gives me
Does that give you
more
hope?
comfort.
Okay.
I still think Andy Reid in a vacuum would love to ignore him. That's the problem. Like, I don't want to be reactionary to Kareem Hunt's game to the degree that he's a top 5 guy, because if Andy Reid had his way, he would have Pat Mahomes run around. By the way, that was the most yardage in the history of the NFL outside the pocket last night.
Really?
They'd have him run around and throw the ball deep and throw it all over the field. Sammy Watkins went out. You had to lean on him a little more. How do you weigh in on that, Jason? How do you feel about Kareem Hunt moving forward? Like,
I think
rest
Kareem
of
Hunt,
season, he's a top what?
He's a top 12 running back for sure, and I don't think you can move him unless you're just moving him for a somewhat sideways piece.
That's what I mean. That's what you would have to do.
And in general, I would not. Now, let's say for some reason Christian McCaffrey comes out, has this just horrible week, sucks, puts up 6 fantasy points. I would love to do that trade after this week because, Christian McCaffrey's past his bye and he's more involved in the passing game. That would be awesome. But outside of some fleecing like that, I would hold on to Hunt.
One last topic I want to bring up is the Denver running backs who are great, and 66% of them are great.
Use them.
Phillip Lindsay, 12 for 69 in a touchdown. Had a long of 19. Royce Freeman, 8 for 67 in a touchdown. Snap counts were this. Royce Freeman, 26%. Lindsay, 40%. Booker, 33%.
What?
My concern...
And Booker in the 2-minute drill. What are you doing?
Here's a little prequel.
What are you doing?
You know how sometimes they have the trailers that give away too much?
Yeah.
I'm going to make Phillip Lindsay my pump after I made him he was my start of the week, and he delivered. And I'm going to make him my pump the brakes because Royce Freeman's too good and Vance Joseph's too stupid.
Yeah, no, I completely get it.
We're in unity on Vance Joseph.
Devontae Booker.
If Devontae Booker owns 2-minute drills, he's too stupid.
Yeah, Devontae Booker has no business being out there. He whiffed on pass protection. He's just not a good player. And when you have 2 other really good backs, it's frustrating when a third is involved. LeGarrette Blount.
Yeah.
Did you hear the news about that?
Shut your mouth.
We'll get to that.
No, it's frustrating, and it's not that you go cut Lindsay or you throw him out the window. It's just going to be a game-specific situation because if he doesn't get in the end zone in this game, he averaged 5.8 a carry, and he's still going to be a running back 3 in that situation. That's the reason I have paused. Great runner. I don't understand when you're coming down to win the game, like Denver was, how you can have like a playmaker not on the field. I don't get how you
either one.
Freeman or Lindsay totally capable of
your user's choice between those two. Put one of those guys on the field.
I choose Booker.
It's like you have the wheel where the entire thing is 2/3 of it. It's good, and then you have one whammy and you spin the wheel.
It's a foolish promise made to Devontae Booker.
Yes,
it's one of those hey, I know this undrafted rookie's playing ahead of you, and we drafted another rookie. It's okay though. You were saying this,
buddy.
You're our 2-minute guy.
Come on, buddy.
Oh, shoot. We made him our 2-minute guy. We've been doing that in practice. Dang it. All right, 2-minute team, get on out there.
You sure you don't have a sore hammy there, Devontae? All right, let's move on to the rest of the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Jason scared me in the office yesterday. He told me that Howard is out 2 to 4 weeks with a sprained MCL. And I thought he meant Jordan Howard.
Yes, that would have sucked. But no, O.J. Howard, which
still sucks.
Also
still sucks. And we were talking about Cameron Brate. Look, the combination of Jameis Winston, who throws to the tight ends and has a good rapport with Cameron Brate, and O.J. Howard out. Cameron Brate is a great pickup. The problem is they're on bye this week, and so picking up a tight end on bye. You must have a crappy roster if you got 2 spots to burn. And if you do, go ahead and you can play that game. I mean, someone's going to do it in every league probably, but I
recommend it.
You would pick up.
Yes, I would. I would drop my 4th wide receiver or whatever to pick up Cameron Brate because I'm going with the 2 to 4 weeks. If O.J. Howard is out for 4 weeks and Cameron Brate is the primary pass-catching tight end for 3 weeks?
Sure.
With Jameis?
I'm actually with you. I mean, look, Henry.
I'm going to do it.
Henry's out for the year. Delaney Walker's gone. Olsen gone. Ingram, Doyle, Eifert, Howard, Disley,
People are struggling.
Hurst. If you're a tight end, watch your back.
At the end of that, it really sounded like you said Butthurt.
Oh, yeah, Disley Butthurst.
Butthurst. Gone.
Can we get Disley Butthurst in here?
See, I heard you say Butthurst, and like I was imagining a different type of car.
Oh, that carries only
A hearse
only
with a big
butts.
booty.
No. Oh, man. I got a tweet. I need to bring Booty Scoot and Cam Newton back. Look, it's a bye week, so the nickname goes on bye, guys. You don't know this stuff? Jameis Winston will be the starter after the bye. Leonard Fournette, Doug Marrone doesn't even know when he's coming back. And the general consensus out there is what we said on the show yesterday, which is if you miss 2 weeks the first time, you're missing at least 2 weeks the second time, and it's probably going to be more because 2 didn't do it. So I'm saying 3 weeks is the minimum you're going to miss Leonard Fournette, which makes TJ Yeldon a wondrous pickup if he was back out there.
100%. He is the far and away 100% biggest pickup this week. If he's on your waivers, spend a lot to
biggest
get him.
Pickup of the year?
Yeah, so far, without a doubt, the biggest pickup of the year. I would spend $35, $40 to grab him because I think you're going to see a significant portion of the season. And if you are the Leonard Fournette owner, if you're not able, even if you were able to get TJ Yeldon, there are plenty of players in every league that buy the injury dip. They say, I want to buy cheap on a guy who's injured. And if you can get something for Fournette, if you don't have an IR spot, instead of having him clog up your bench, come back, I would try to package him together and move him. I don't want this hamstring issue on my team.
Would you rather have Philip Lindsay or TJ Yeldon?
TJ Yeldon.
For the upside, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess we'll talk all the waivers in a minute. It's the waiver show.
Bill O'Brien said Lamar Miller came out of the game a little banged up, but should be okay. Ezekiel Elliott, same story. Playing through knee and ankle injuries, according to Jason Garrett, but expected to play this week against the Texans.
Did anybody ask Bill O'Brien if Lamar Miller also went into the game a little banged up, and he was not good.
Oh.
And Deonta Foreman will be hopefully coming off the PUP here in a couple weeks. Something to monitor.
Lions coach Pat Matricia is what I was going to say, but we'll go with Matt Patricia. He believes that Kerryon Johnson is getting enough work.
Yeah, well, that's
Has
dumb.
he heard this?
Carry on my wayward son.
Look, I'm going to be blunt about this.
That
Bad decision.
is bad.
I'm going to ridicule him.
That is so bad. I mean,
Is there a chance here that he's just saying this, supporting his players, supporting his offensive coach, and we're going to see a greater shift, every week, and say no, we in the coaching meetings say one thing, and to the press say another.
Can there be a 2-minute guy, but the first 2 minutes of every quarter?
Right?
And that can be blunt?
LeGarrette-
You're our 2-minute guy.
LeGarrette Blount in the past 2 games has carried the ball 23 times for 60 yards.
Yeah, but he wears that defense down for carry on.
For 60 yards.
And my axe.
That's 2.6. Look, he's saying this. His defense is not very good. Matt Patricia better get it together.
Yeah.
I know we're 4 weeks into his entire head coaching career. This is not how you
He
start.
just needs to play the Patriots every week.
Ryan McDowell pointed out, so in his first 3 carries, Kerryon Johnson had 35 yards, looked great. The rest of the game, he had 6 carries. 6 carries the rest of the game. He's helping your offense move. Why are you taking him out and putting in LeGarrette Blount?
Because he's getting plenty of work.
Yeah.
Plenty of
9 carries in the game.
And by the way, just for your comp, the past 2 games, Kerryon Johnson's carried the ball 25 times for 156 yards.
So what you're saying is, if you give it to Kerryon Johnson, he runs for more yards and helps your team. If you give it to LeGarrette Blount, he runs for less yards and hurts your team.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
It's pretty hard to figure
It's
out.
not
And I
just
don't blame Matt
Carry
Patricia.
the 4. Got it.
I don't blame Matt Patricia for not being able to understand it. I mean, we dug real deep for these numbers, and and I still don't fully understand it, grasp it, wrap my head around it. But we'll Foot Clan, we'll keep looking into this and see if we can figure out.
Wait, hold
Carry the
on. I gotta. What if it's Matt Stafford? What if Matt Stafford is saying Kerryon Johnson is eating up too much of my potential passing yards. And he wants LeGarrette Blount. He wants him to put him into second and long situations. So he's like,
throw
Coach, we have no choice now. We have to throw it. It's Stafford time.
It's because he doesn't get to put his hat backwards and get going.
The truth
slinging
is,
the rock.
I think we've uncovered a conspiracy.
LeGarrette
We've
Blount
comforted ourselves.
LeGarrette Blount is personal friends with Matt Patricia from their days in New England. He came over, and I believe that Matt Patricia believes that LeGarrette Blount is not who he is now, but hopefully he shifts and can recognize because his job is to do so.
I'm going to trust that it will shift.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to go.
Me too.
He did start.
Yes, he did start.
LeGarrette Blount
and he started amazing.
LeGarrette Blount signed a $2 million contract. I mean, this is not – you're not heavily invested. Real quick before we get into the waivers, a reminder, Julian Edelman, Mark Ingram, and Robert Turbin, those PED pals, coming back after 4 weeks.
I think they wrote letters like pen pals.
Well, they had nothing to do for 4 weeks, so they're back. They're fresh. They're ready to go. We're excited about Mark Ingram. Are we actually excited about Julian Edelman?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see.
Excited for Brady?
Yes,
Yes.
I want, despite the shade that's been thrown on the Patriots, I want the Patriots to be awesome. I want to see great offense. I want Tom Brady to go out and throw for 40 touchdowns.
Not worried about a PE decrease for Mr. Edelman?
Yeah, I mean, that's always a worry. You've seen plenty of players who have a great year. They get busted for PEDs. They come back, and they're just, for some reason, not quite as good.
If Robert Turbin is half the size, he goes Popeye, he's left out spinach.
Yes, that's pretty funny.
You're like, wait, that's not Robert Turbin.
All right, before we get into the waivers, we do want to thank today's sponsor, Harry's. Look, we've talked about Harry's for a long time. It's not a tough sell. You get better blades, you get a better shave, you get a better product from great people for less money.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I've used Harry's for now going on 3+ years. Look, great shave comes down to great blades. They have the best blades, and they stand behind the quality of their blades. So they give you a trial set. They give you a $13 value, and it's that simple. You get a close, comfortable shave. You get a weighted ergonomic handle. You get a 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and trimmer blade. And you claim yours by going to harrys.com/footballers. That's all there is to it. Our listeners can redeem that trial set at harrys.com/footballers. Make sure you go to harrys.com/footballers to redeem your offer and let them know that the Fantasy Footballer sent you.
And hey, Foot Clan, listen, the NFL has done a great job in making live events better for fantasy football. They've got stats, they've got Wi-Fi. Going to the games is like nothing. I mean, if you've been, it's just an incredible experience. We want people to get out to live games, to take friends, take family, and if you do that, use SeatGeek to get your tickets, because getting tickets online can be far too complicated. There's all sorts of, is this site trustworthy? Is this site a good price? SeatGeek is 100% trustworthy. They fully guarantee every ticket. They shop hundreds of ticket sites. They get you the best price. They show you a map that you can zoom in on. Just look for the big green circle. It's so easy to get them. That's what I use to get all my live events, whether it's sports or otherwise. Best of all,
Even if they're sold out.
Yeah, you can get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. So make sure you download the SeatGeek app right now. Enter promo code FOOTBALLERS today. That's promo code FOOTBALLERS to save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. SeatGeek, life's an event. We have the tickets.
Well, let's talk waivers.
Put me in, Coach.
It's that time of year. A couple teams returning from the bye. Washington, Carolina,
Welcome
back in your lineup.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I hope you had a nice time. Chicago, Tampa,
When's our bye week?
farewell. Well,
You get yours.
I actually have a bye week.
Yeah,
next
you
week.
do.
I'm taking the kids. We're going out of town for a few days. You guys will be roughhousing.
The shows are just gonna be great.
Now, what happens if
Stay tuned, listeners. You're going to have an experience.
are we going to have our first solo show is the question.
Oh yeah, I'm gone.
Well, I mean, I assume you'll be gone if something happens.
Oh.
It's not happening. So I feel so much better this week.
Ocho Cinco?
Do you, you want to know why I feel better? Because I already know that I win this week. I've won this week. I guarantee it. It's locked and loaded.
What are you, the
Victory in
men's warehouse over here?
In fact, people want to know, what do you do if you start in a hole? What do you do if you start 0-4? A couple of tips.
Put the shovel down.
Yes, put the shovel down. Stop digging. A couple of tips. Look at your opponents. Look at your schedule. Look at your few weeks out opponents.
Buy some wins.
I traded Russell Wilson straight across for Big Ben Roethlisberger because he plays at home against Atlanta this week. I'm looking also at matchups in a couple weeks with bye weeks coming up, seeing if I can maybe trade a player for a player with that team that maybe they don't realize my player's supposed to be on bye when I play you. Your player's not, but if we do this little
sabotage.
Swipsky Squapsky, then I got to play and you got to buy.
It works.
Oh, is that the more you know?
I thought I had that somewhere in here.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's my tips for this is why.
The more you know.
Brooks, you took care of it.
Oh,
you took care of it. That's pretty intense.
I was very surprised.
I'm a little scared. All right, waiver wire, wide receivers. Let's start there. I feel like there's just always so many good wide receivers.
Yep.
And even on my team, I'm struggling with this flex position because every week I'm having to sit there and go, Corey Davis or Kenny Golladay or John Brown, like in that tier. We're talking about some of those guys. Tyler Boyd.
Oh.
Yes, he's 72% owned now, but if he's not, he should be 11 for 100, 15 targets, and he's giving a floor to Andy Dalton, who may or may not be a stream of the week coming up.
Take that, Matt Harmon.
Matt
you're
Harmon
calling him
hates
out.
Tyler Boyd?
Yeah, this was, two years ago.
Yeah.
Matt Harmon and I argued on the show because I loved Tyler Boyd, and he said that he did not understand that. And he was trash. And I said, you're trash, Harmon. Except you're a very handsome man, and I love you.
We need to get body dropped.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. Jordy Nelson, Sterling Shepard, and Quincy Enunwa are the others in that kind of probably owned but worth peeking at your waiver wire.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta take a look, but more than likely not there.
And listen, for all of those that say you're in a league where it's impossible for any of these guys to be, I get it, but you are not the majority. There are a lot of leagues in which these guys are there, and that's why we mention them. And even in our leagues where you have a lot of highly competitive people, a guy slips through the cracks bye weeks.
Shallow bench as well.
Yeah. All right. Here are the main waiver wire guys. And I want to bring up a name that we haven't got to bring up. It's not the Beazles, but it's the Cooties.
Oh.
It's the Cooties.
Circle, dot.
Oh, my gosh. KeKe Coutee.
KeKe Coutee shot.
2% owned, but went 11 for 109 because he had to. Deshaun Watson, and by the way, this is the Houston, their draft pick and their slot receiver. KeKe got it done. 15 targets.
Bruce Ellington is on the IR.
Yep.
Will Fuller left the game. He's banged up. We don't know if he is going to play. Bill O'Brien said that Will Fuller came out with his hamstring problem. It was precautionary, but it's strange if a player can play and you're in a contest that you may lose to pull out one of your really good players.
You really need to win.
It's strange. That's a strange thing going on.
That's right. He said he could have gone back in, and they could have lost that game and went to overtime.
Yeah.
He said it was not precautionary, but if you said precautionary, Mike.
Oh, I apologize. It was not precautionary.
Yes.
It was straight up cautionary.
It was.
I misread the quote.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, with you gotta realize that Fuller has dealt with this.
He's too fast. He's too fast for his
hamstrings. So yeah, I think
not a problem I have.
I think there's a legit chance that Will Fuller does not play this week or re-aggravates it. Far and away, to me, he is my number one waiver pickup.
Interesting.
Because you have a guy who's a rookie who was highly touted. A lot of people loved him. Hey, shout out to Matt Harmon, who liked KeKe Coutee.
Oh, my gosh.
KeKe Coutee's a good player. He's a great slot guy. He was running most of his routes from the slot. So even if Will Fuller is back, I mean, 15 targets in a game. And I realize it's not going to be that way every game. But you've got a shot here. He could be a thing. This is his
Especially
first
PPR.
NFL game. Oh, yeah.
And let's roll the clock back. Before, Ellington and then who am I thinking?
Braxton Miller.
Braxton Miller. Coutee was the best in camp. So that was the reports we got.
Right.
In camp, he was the best performer, and now he gets a chance to perform on the field. So pay attention to him for sure. What would you spend fab-wise on KeKe?
I would probably – I've said this before. I'll say it probably every week. I don't spend a lot on wide receivers. I hold it for running backs because there's a plethora always of wide receivers you can grab. But I'd be willing to go up to like 8%, $8 and $100 budget.
What would you do to make sure your wide receiver core was KeKe and Dede?
Oh, man, that's super
Just
important.
for – I mean, you wouldn't get as many points, but you'd have KeKe.
Is there a
Dede.
doo-doo out there? KeKe.
Oh, what a doo-doo.
Wow.
Juju.
Oh, Juju.
KeKe Dede Juju.
KeKe Dede Juju.
Oh, that has to happen. If your team
That
is
sounds
KeKe,
like the Super Mario Dungeon theme song.
if you have
KeKe Dede
KeKe Dede Juju.
KeKe Dede.
All right, let me ask you this though, Jace. I get it. I'm very intrigued by KeKe. But if you knew that Geronimo Allison was going to easily clear the concussion protocol this week and be back as the starter for the Green Bay Packers, would Geronimo be your number one guy? Or
Yes,
is it still KeKe over
I
him?
think Geronimo has the higher ceiling and a pretty safe floor. So I would go Geronimo over KeKe if he clears. But, I mean, you've probably got to make this decision today.
and
Of course.
every single person can sign KeKe.
Yeah,
Whereas
2%
Geronimo's about half and half in terms of ownership percentage. It's a good question, though, because you can react in fantasy to the new hotness, and Allison had the concussion, but Allison is the better pickup.
And Geronimo, I mean, he was Geronimo because he could have had an absolute. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize for nothing. He could have had an absolutely monster fantasy game if he had come down with a couple of those crucial.
So
drops.
maybe the drops plus the concussion means you can get him, and maybe there's a
Right.
big payoff. Because one thing we didn't bring up in the news, Randall Cobb was not close to playing
Right.
and is unlikely to play. They're in Detroit. We'll see what happens this week. And if he doesn't play, if Allison doesn't play, the majority of snaps, the other starter with Cobb out was Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Yes.
And then Jamon Moore was the one that came in and took snaps.
Jamon.
He needs to be a thing.
Jamon.
Come on, Moore.
So, Equanimous did not get in the game. He may if Allison's out, but right now
Jamon.
And I said, yeah, and we'll talk more about running backs. But Ty Montgomery, I think, it gets a significant bump if Cobb and Geronimo are out.
Antonio Callaway,
I still think he's a top pickup.
9 targets. He caught 3 of them.
Yeah.
So
there was some mental mistakes
I
happening.
believe Mike
for-
would say Antonio Dropaway.
That one's not even good.
That's my point. That's why I said Mike would say. I didn't come up with this. You did.
It's clearly Droponio Callaway. I mean, it's right there, Jason.
Is it? Is it really? I would be avoiding. Look, if you have Callaway, you hold him. You wait and see. He was my start of the week. They missed. I mean, Antonio Callaway misses a 60-yard bomb every single game. Those are the ones that I was hoping he would catch. 9 targets. You like that?
I think,
But he plays Baltimore next week.
yeah.
Jimmy Smith comes back.
Yeah, it's no good.
It's not
Yeah,
going
that's
to
a
be.
problem.
It's going to be a big issue. It's going to be a situation with the pass rush that you saw with Mahomes. Maybe Callaway doesn't get a deep shot.
But here's the thing: after Baltimore, which
Troubles.
Callaway's not necessarily a great play right there, but after that, Chargers, Tampa Bay, 2 delicious matchups for Antonio Callaway.
Yes.
You could probably.
So let's say you want to get in on KeKe, you want to get on Geronimo and Taywan Taylor, who we're going to talk about. Just put a small bid on Callaway, and if you miss out on the higher price guys, you have Callaway and you'll stash him for a week.
Or you use our drop it like it's hot technique next week when people drop Antonio Callaway
Fair.
after the Baltimore game and pick him up for free off of waivers.
Tennessee wide receiver Taywan Taylor,
Yes, he's
63% snap count this week, highest on the season. I personally caution people not to overreact to Taywan Taylor or Corey Davis if you expect 25 a week, simply because the way this game went, they had to air this game. They had to air it out. 7 for 77, 9 targets. Taywan Taylor, I think you're going to see a lot of fluctuation from the number 2 in Tennessee.
Yeah, I agree with that, but this is the first
Okay.
game without Rashard Matthews and Delaney Walker, and he did what you hope, and more importantly is what you brought up, the snap percentage, because early in the season we were all excited about him, and then it turned out he was behind Tajay Sharp. I mean, he was buried for some unexpected reason. So what I'm keeping an eye on is he on the field? Because if he is, I think he will produce. And honestly, Taywan Taylor is a better receiver than Rashard Matthews. He could be a bump up for Marcus Mariota.
All right, let's talk about the Colts wide receiver situation. T.Y. Hilton may miss this week. If you need to stream somebody, are you streaming Ryan Grant, Chester Rogers, or Zach Pascal? Rogers and Pascal are unowned in every league, and Ryan Grant pretty much is. But Rogers, 8 for 85, 11 targets. Zach Pascal, 6 for 56 and a touchdown on 10 targets. And then Ryan Grant, 5 for 64 on 7 targets. You would expect, I think, if we hadn't seen what Pascal and Rogers did this past game, you probably would have been in on Grant.
Yeah, it would have been easy.
If I'm in a full PPR, yes, because I still think Ryan Grant, the type of targets he gets are not valuable. They're Beazles. But, with T.Y. out, maybe they'll use him a little bit better. I think I lean towards Chester Rogers.
Now, we have a little bit of
breaking news.
We have a little bit of breaking news. Now, I guess while the show is going on, a delivery in our studio, it's arrived.
I hope
Fantastic.
it's candy.
Now, it's being brought in, and it's not from me. But
sweet mercy.
But go ahead and set this in here. I'll take it from you. If you're on YouTube.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yes!
So, Jason, for the podcast listeners, obviously, the majority of you.
Down. They got to see all the balloons.
He received a lot of black balloons. There is a
0-4.
There's a poop emoji. Now, is there a note in there, Jason?
It appears there is a note.
Get well soon.
I want to say I did not.
Feel better soon.
This is not from us. This is not staged.
This is from my opponent who put me to 0-4. Thanks, Brian. Shout out. Enjoy not being my co-owner in Dynasty. As you
0-4.
He says, sorry for your loss. Feel better. I tried to be bad enough manager and leave Flux 47 on my bench. Still interested in a co-owner in Dynasty? No, Brian.
There's an actual 0-4 balloons at the top.
Yeah,
So
you're either 0-4 or you're 40, Jason. Which would you rather be right now?
you can leave him
40.
right. You
I
can
would
leave him right there.
much rather be 40 than 0-4.
Just leave him right there. That's perfectly set up. Just leave him just right there.
You know what, though? You know what? More breaking news. Brian, this right here, what I have behind me, this ridiculous set of delivered balloons, this is how you fantasy football.
This is why we fantasy football.
You are now a co-owner, as you requested in our Dynasty League. I will add you immediately because this is the type of interaction I'm looking for in a league. Well done, Brian.
This is why we play. This is
incredible.
why you play fantasy football.
It's a poop emoji balloon.
Right by your head. That's spectacular.
All right, so back to the game. The Colts will be taking on the New England Patriots.
Yes, in New England.
In New England. You got to imagine the game script is going to be very conducive towards Andrew Luck throwing the ball a lot. He had to throw it 62 times last week. Of course, it was an overtime game, but
There's only one player that
40-plus pass attempts as the Colts struggle to tread water, I think is well within the realm of possibilities.
100%. The player that I want for sure in this matchup, and we'll talk about him in a minute, is Nyheim Hines. I think that this matchup, the matchup with T.Y. Hilton not being there says they're going to have to use him in the passing game just so much.
You cannot start Hines at wide receiver, though. So if you had to
That's
take
true.
one of these wideouts, I'm actually going in on Ryan Grant. Short passing game, PPR, stream-worthy target. I realize Rogers and Pascal had more targets this week, but I think it's going to be too hard to decide between those two, and the actual guaranteed production comes from Grant. Mind you, it might not be very sexy, but I go Ryan Grant. What's the name that you would go with?
Definitely the safest option. I'm going to go Chester Rogers, though.
All right.
Get some targets down the field.
Mike?
I'm going to go with
Pascal.
Ryan. No. I looked through all of them. Pascal, he basically came out of nowhere. And I'm going to go with Ryan Grant, who should be the de facto number 1.
All right, Christian Kirk, another name, had 5 targets. Rashard Higgins had 5 targets from Baker. Let's talk about one more name. Dede Westbrook, 9 for 130 on 13 targets and gets Kansas City. So Westbrook, Moncrief, who was 5 for 109, and then Keelan Cole, another trifecta of difficult decision-making. Who benefits the most facing that Kansas City defense in Arrowhead? I think Mahomes at home against Jacksonville, I think they'll get some points on the board. Bortles is going to have to do something there in Arrowhead. So who benefits the most? Who do you expect to have the better game?
I still think that it is going to be Keelan Cole. I think he's their best wide receiver. The short routes, Dede Westbrook's been eating those up, and I would like him as well. Dante Moncrief is a one-trick pony. If he gets that touchdown, great. If he doesn't, you're upset. I don't.
Yeah, but if he gets that touchdown,
ooh, Moncrief. Yeah. So I guess I'm fine with Dede and Keelan Cole. I'm still staying away from Moncrief.
I would go with Dede. I think the pass rush of Kansas City will force Blake Bortles to check it down to the shorter routes more frequently.
he's great after the catch.
Dede?
Yeah,
he's a great wide receiver. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's look at some running backs.
The last one I want to throw out is it's kind of gross, but Taylor Gabriel is available in almost every single league. You don't really want in on the Bears' passing attack. However, and they're on the bye week.
Yeah.
22% market share through 4 weeks. One big game out of that, but Taylor Gabriel is being utilized a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to pass. I get it, but the combination of
bye week plus
plus Taylor Gabriel.
I'm not saying you have to pick him up right now, but put it in the back of your mind that next week a wide receiver, even if the passing game is kind of inept, a wide receiver getting a market share in the 20s. They aren't on waivers.
Right. No, that's true. So you have to ask yourself, why was he? Because he was doing that in weeks 1, 2, and 3, and he never got to 8 fantasy points and half-point scoring.
But what we know is
if Mitchell Trubisky has a 6-touchdown game.
You got to follow the opportunity. No, it's not a 6-touchdown.
I know. I just want to grief.
Follow the opportunity. Things eventually just start happening.
All right. I saw some tweets. People were doing what I asked them to do. They went out and got Aaron Jones.
Nice.
72% owned, though, so he's probably owned in your league. If he's not, pick him up.
Of course he is.
He's got Detroit, San Francisco on the docket, 11 for 65 and 1. I saw Julian Edelman traded for Aaron Jones. I approve this message.
Yeah, I can dig that.
I think that's a good move. You've obviously survived without Edelman for 4 weeks, and no guarantees there. So I like that pickup. Other high-owned guys to keep your eye on. Make sure James White's owned. Make sure that Austin Eckler, you think he's a must-own now?
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to play him.
Yeah, I don't want to play him either. He's an absolute must-own for Melvin Gordon owners, though, because he is one of the rare guys this year that I think you can be confident if Melvin Gordon goes down, Eckler's going to be extremely involved.
All right, TJ Yeldon, Cory Grant, running backs for Jacksonville. We brought him up earlier. Fournette's going to miss the game.
He's only available in about half of leagues. Hopefully, if you picked him up the first time, you were wise enough to hold on to him, knowing that Fournette had a hamstring injury. But he is the number one priority on waivers for me.
Yes, 100%. Assuming he's gone, because most leagues, TJ Yeldon was already picked up due to the recent injury and probably was not dropped yet. Ryan Grant is an interesting pickup. He was a little bit
the wide receiver for the Colts.
Cory Grant. Cory Grant is a better, much more interesting pickup to me because he was a little bit banged up this last week. I wasn't sure if he was going to play or not, and he was still somewhat involved. But another week of no. But my point is, he was banged up.
4 opportunities.
That's my point, Mike.
Okay.
Is that his injury is, I believe, why he was not really involved that much. But if you go back to 2 weeks ago,
he was also not involved.
What are you talking about?
The last 2 times that he was involved without Fournette on the field, he did nothing. That's my concern.
But no.
3 weeks ago, he did something.
But that's when Fournette was out.
Fournette was out. The past 2 weeks, with Fournette gone, Cory Grant did nothing, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. My point is when
4 carries, 6 carries.
When Cory Grant was
2 fantasy points.
Healthy and Fournette was gone, it was a Yeldon Cory Grant kind of split almost. That's how I feel. Six receptions, I believe.
Apparently his nickname, according to Pro Football Reference, is Tail Lights.
Okay.
Because that makes sense.
Because that's all you're going to be seeing?
Look, I'm not going to argue with you about whether or not he was
they should
banged
call
up.
him Showtime.
Showtime
Grant.
The last 2 weeks, but look, I think he's. If you want to stream him, you can. I did it 2 weeks ago. I regretted it.
Yeah.
And Fournette was gone against Tennessee. I thought I'd get something from Cory Grant. I got nothing.
I'd much rather play.
And then he had 3 touches last week. So
much rather target Nyheim Hines, pick him up, and play him.
Yes, 100. I mean, Nyheim Hines is going to be close to a must start this week for me. But I do think if you are in a deeper league and you don't have many options and you got bye weeks or injuries, if you're in a pinch, I personally believe you're going to get some points out of Cory Grant this week. And you can't always do that off of waivers.
Working in your favor is the fact that they play the Kansas City Chiefs,
exactly,
who don't tackle and give up the most fantasy points to running backs in football, I believe. Marlon Mack could be back. Got to monitor that for Nyheim Hines. You're also going to get Turbin back, but that shouldn't impact third downs. So Hines is interesting, certainly, with 9 for 63 and 2.
What would you spend on someone like Nyheim Hines?
I would not spend more than.
I'd be in the
8%.
I'd be in the high teens.
Yeah, I would be in the teens. I don't see Nyheim Hines as a season-long fix. I see him as, I love this matchup against New England, and I think they're going to need him with T.Y. Hilton out.
Robert Turbin, are you picking him up?
I think he's worth a stash at least. You're not playing him, but just pick him up and see what the actual opportunity is.
Robert Turbin or Ronald Jones, who would you rather pick up off of waivers tomorrow?
I mean, that's tough. I think I would have to go Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I mean, even with the bye week?
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up. It sucks that he's on a bye week, so you won't be able to see this week. You're going to have to hold him for 2 weeks. But Ronald Jones is the type of preseason hyped guy because he's an incoming rookie and they get all the publicity during the down months that he will be picked up this week. So you're not going to be able to just leave him out there. Robert Turbin you could leave out there. And he waivers could pass and Turbin is just not there, and then you can try to bid him up next week if it turns out that they used him more than expected.
Yeah, I mean Turbin only represents goal line opportunity and they haven't been a great offense yet. Would you rather roster throw the bye week out. Would you rather roster Ronald Jones or Rashad Penny? Based on the fact that
Jones.
Yeah, okay, so you both already agree with that.
Pete Carroll came out an opportunity.
Pete Carroll came out and said they're going to use a full committee with Carson, Mike Davis, and Rashad Penny, also known as fantasy disasters.
Now, a lot of people out there are going to rush to the waiver wires to pick up Mike Davis. How do you guys feel about that?
I think you have to. I think you have to take a shot that Carson misses. If Carson misses, Mike Davis was a top 5 running back this past week.
Yeah, so
you have to take if you're going to take a shot on Nyheim Hines, you got to take a shot on Mike Davis, who had 28 fantasy points in our league of record and had massive workload just on the fact that Carson could miss. Because I'd rather play Mike Davis. I think I'd rather play
with Carson out.
With Carson out,
because if Carson's in, then is this all moot for you, or are you
100%.
Still okay?
Okay. Yeah, it's 100% moot. But I think in a lot of leagues you got to take that roll of the dice.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just don't want the Seattle backfield. I don't want anything to do with it. I mean, if they came out and all of a sudden Penny was as involved as every other back this week, I'm not surprised because they are doing something that I don't understand what Seattle's mindset is here as a team. And then they're at home against the Los Angeles Rams, not a good matchup. I just want to stay hands-free. Now, I don't blame you for saying you have to pick him up. I mean, it could possibly be a starting running back, and those are very rare. So
I think he would put up points this week if he's the starter. The one thing that we do know is that Rashad Penny will never be. I mean, that's the only thing that we've seen is that Rashad Penny seems to be...
Never say never.
21 for 101 and 2. 4 passes. He caught 4 passes, Mike Davis did. The confidence that Carroll showed in him, again, it's all moot if Carson starts. But
yeah, and Davis was the guy for Seattle last year for a few games before he got hurt.
Like, I would be more excited about Mike Davis than Nyheim Hines this week if it's a 1-week situation, because there's a lot of cooks in both those kitchens, but if Carson's out, at least I get that out of the way. And if Mac's back, it hurts Hines. So you've always said you love Mac. You don't think he's a threat to Nyheim Hines?
I worry, just similar to Leonard Fournette and any running back or any wide receiver that has a reoccurring hamstring problem, you just can't give him the workload. Like if I was a Marlon Mack fan preseason, I thought he was going to be the 60% lead dog, be able to be out there in 2-minute drills because he could catch the ball, be able to be in there on the goal line. But as soon as the hamstring issue happened, they can't make him any kind of workhorse. They're just going to give him a few touches. He's not going to get into a rhythm. I'm not a believer in Marlon Mack at this point.
Give me one more running back name, somebody deeper that you think could make an impact, somebody should pick up this week.
I'll throw out Wendell Smallwood. Wendell Smallwood, he's just a guy, but he's on a great offense. Corey Clement has been dealing with injuries. Darren Sproles has been dealing with injuries. Jay Ajayi is a walking injury. He's a guy that you can pick up for free, probably a $0 or a $1 bid, and you'll be able to have Wendell Smallwood in every league. And by the end of the week, when games kick off, if they say Jay Ajayi is not active and Darren Sproles is not active and Corey Clement is hurt, I won't be surprised. And then all of a sudden, you have a guy who over the last 2 weeks has shown enough to say
produce.
If he was given that role, he would succeed. So that's a deeper league option I think you should be paying attention to.
And I'll throw out Duke Johnson, who seems to have resurrected like the Phoenix, getting 4 receptions for 45 yards. Those are good numbers.
I just don't.
But it was in a game
resurrected
that put up
like the Phoenix. I
Because he
expect
was
more
gone.
than 4 catches.
Okay, well,
I mean, maybe like like a zombie or something.
okay,
Yeah, there
okay,
you go.
fine.
That's better.
Maybe he's not
I'm-
soaring through the sky.
There was
but,
like 85 points in that game, right? I mean, it was.
but 4 receptions for 45 yards, and then he threw in 2 2-point conversions. He's just saying it, he's actually being used again.
Sure.
Where Duke Johnson was a drop candidate last week.
I would drop him.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever disagreed more in a waiver segment than this specific one with the Flyer guys. Because, I mean, Chubb, Hyde is getting –
I'm not picking up
Hyde's
Chubb.
heavily – no. I'm not picking up Chubb either. He scored 2 touchdowns. He gets snaps. Hyde is obviously the snap leader. Best case scenario in game script, and you end up with 6 touches for Duke Johnson. Maybe he becomes a thing again, but you got Baltimore this week. I'm just not excited about him.
Fair.
Tariq Cohen, though, 62% owned. Pay attention.
Yeah,
He's
pay
a
attention.
He's on a bye.
He's a cursory ad. Maybe he ends up being a drop it like it's hot guy tomorrow. A lot of the bye week guys, if somebody needs somebody, they're going to let him go. So keep your eyes open for what? For the Bears and for the Bucks. Because those are the guys that are going to hit the waiver wire.
I think we glossed over him. Did we talk about Frank Gore?
No, we didn't.
Do you want to?
I mean, 11 carries. Meanwhile, Kenyon Drake can't get on the field.
It's fair.
Yeah, I agree that I don't think I'm interested, but the numbers are there. 11 carries, 2 receptions. He got 3 targets. Kenyon Drake has been miserable, and it seems like his coach just does not like him.
Would you drop Drake for Gore?
No,
I'm not dropping Drake.
Here's the problem with Gore.
But you can't play him.
If Gore comes out and they give him 16 carries and 3 receptions, a great workload, I don't think you're going to be happy with that game. I think he's going to end up with 60 all-purpose yards and stink.
So you said you can't play Drake. I've seen Drake in so many screenshot lineups this week because everybody started Drake. They drafted Drake to start him.
He was a great opportunity.
So if you have Kenyon Drake and you have to start somebody, you wouldn't drop Drake for Gore and start Gore.
Correct.
You would start Drake.
I would start Drake.
In that case, I would start Drake.
That's all I'm asking.
And I would as well, because I think that Drake could come out and still drop 15, 20 points if he gets the work. If he doesn't and it goes to Gore, great, you got 5 or 6 points. I mean, and maybe Drake only gets you 2 points, but so what? The ceiling isn't there with Gore. That's how I see it.
It's similar. I'll comp him to this. Like Derrick Henry. I've had Derrick Henry on my team all year. And
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I don't feel like I can play Derrick Henry, but I'm not going to drop him because things can turn around in one single week for a running back.
Okay.
That's my
tight ends.
for Drake.
People are hurting.
Yeah,
who are the pickups for tight ends right now, Mike?
Vance Dance, baby. It's time. It is time for Vance McDonald. He's getting involved. The snaps are going up. He's increased every single week since he's been active, and then he played nearly 63% of the snaps. Jesse James is not running routes nearly at the rate of Vance McDonald, and Vance produces. He's always been a sensational pass-catching tight end, and now he gets to play Atlanta. The Vance dance is back on. We're at the discotheque.
I think an injury report on Rob Gronkowski would be valuable here because people, not only on top of all the other injuries, they probably want to know what they're going to do with Gronk. As of this morning, this is a short week, but NFL Network reported this morning that his ankle injury is, quote, not that big a deal. He didn't practice on Monday.
That doesn't mean he's going to play.
But monitor that. They're expecting him to give it a go on Thursday night against the Colts. He was taken off the field early. They were blowing them out, so we don't know how severe the injury really was. I still would, if Gronk's active, you play him.
Yeah,
I
completely agree. If Gronk's active, I play him. Last week I said he was a trade-for target, and he stunk. And I really believe if I could trade for Gronk right now, I would do it in a heartbeat. In fact, let me look this up. I gotta go find Gronk.
I have Gronk everywhere,
never
Jason.
Mind. Dang it, you do. Here's a guy that I think. Look,
not in Dynasty.
Fair point.
He was here's a guy who's 1% owned. Was a tight end 1 last season. Tyler Kroft is now the starting tight end. Tyler Eifert, with the unfortunate ankle injury, is done for the season. The Cincinnati Bengals defense has disappointed. Andy Dalton has looked good. I realize that C.J. Uzomah is there, but he is, he's not really utilized in a way that impacts.
Uzomah has run 3 times as many routes as Tyler Kroft.
So would you rather have Uzomah than Kroft? Because I feel like Kroft has been the backup to Eifert, and when Eifert goes down, Kroft always comes in.
And I had that first initial thought was, okay, Tyler Kroft. And Eifert left the game, with plenty of time. Tyler Kroft still only had 27% of the snaps. Meanwhile, Uzomah jumped up to nearly 70% of the offensive snaps.
You might see a change there.
That's if I'm going in on a Bengals tight end. You certainly could be right. It could be Kroft, but I'm going to follow the opportunity of Uzomah.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's where I would go.
Is it Uzomah or Uzomah?
I believe it's Uzomah.
Uzomah.
Yeah. And the thing is, for me, is
would you use Uzomah?
I would not use Uzomah. I would put in my Kroft macaroni and cheese. Tyler Kroft. Here's the thing.
Rough.
We have seen the Bengals with Andy Dalton, with Marvin Lewis, with Tyler Kroft, with C.J. Uzomah for the last several years.
Right.
And it's always been Kroft. So, yes, I realize that Uzomah ran more routes in this game, but I just don't know why they would go, well, you know what? I'm going to change now. Everything we've believed and done over the last several years, I'm not going to do that. I mean, it could happen.
Maybe he's just better now.
Yes.
It does happen.
It's his 4th NFL season.
Like Tyler Boyd is
better now,
right?
Yes, Tyler Boyd is better. But
so let's put this in perspective, though, because last year when Eifert was out, the snap percentage was like 85% Kroft, and Uzomah was barely on the field, 22%. If they're on the field differently, then the result will be different. If we come into next week and the snap counts are not like that, you can't expect that from Kroft. If Kroft is, what'd you say? Uzomah had 75% of
70.
Kroft was it
below
was a
30.
That's a complete flip-flop of last year based on that one game. Now maybe they reconfigure and they go into it and say, man, let's go back to last year. And that's definitely a possibility.
Here's what
because Kroft is good around the goal line.
I believe that Tyler Eifert had his role, Uzomah had his role, and when they're going in now without Eifert at all, Uzomah's going to stay in Uzomah's role, and Kroft is going to take Tyler Eifert's role plus Tyler Kroft's role. So
Miami gave up the second most fantasy points to tight ends last year. We'll see what happens this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Cameron Brate, the big signing here. Mike, you talked about it earlier. Even though he's on the bye, you'd pick him up. Maybe you get him cheap because he's on the bye. You probably do because you can't start him. But then you can tuck him away, maybe get 3 good starts from him coming out of the bye, maybe more than that. I mean, we don't know how healthy Howard's going to be, and Howard's snap counts they may be very limited on his return. So you could get more than 3 weeks from Brate. You can get 4, 5, 6 weeks from Brate. And I think Brate is even interesting. I brought it up before Winston came back. Winston and Brate, they have a thing.
Yep.
They always have. I'm not going to toss that out just because Howard's having a good year and now he's got the MCL. You have 2 tight ends with MCL sprains now.
Yeah.
On your team.
O.J. Howard and Evan Ingram, they're like, hey, that looks good. I think I want some of that.
Nick Vannett. Any interest in Nick Vannett from Seattle with the limited pass-catching options there?
Mr. Vannett.
And
guy.
Will Disley off the field?
Yeah.
No interest.
It hasn't materialized.
What about the Dallas Goedert excitement? 2 for 13.
No, now that Alshon Jeffrey's back, they did not use him the same way. Snaps weren't the same. I mean, that was dependent upon Alshon being out. I do think over time they could see Goedert more and more involved, but he's still a rookie tight end. I would rather have Austin Seferian-Jenkins in a matchup against Kansas City where a lot of passing, a lot of points could happen. More so than Jacksonville usually experiences because of their defense.
All right, the defensive streams this week you need to pay attention to before we get into the quarterbacks. Tennessee.
Yes.
I picked them up a week early because I was looking forward to the Buffalo matchup.
Yep.
They're only 16% owned. Pay attention to Carolina coming off the bye. They get the Giants. The Giants have not scored 30 points in a game for, I believe,
ever.
It's some record. I mean, it's some franchise record.
Yeah, and whenever you get a team coming off of
30-something games
at home with a good defense, I really like them. But they're a little bit more owned. If you want to go deeper, look, Arizona's defense has not really been bad this year, and because Rosen is able to move the ball, that helps the defense a little bit. They're not always starting with bad field position. They're playing San Francisco and C.J. Beathard.
You like Denver this week? Denver's on a lot of waiver wires now because they did not start the year with and fulfill the expectations people had for them.
Denver versus Darnold I would be very interested.
You're all over Denver versus Darnold. All right.
Full stream ahead.
All right, full stream ahead. Who's your stream for Week 5? What quarterback can you throw out there and get some points from?
I'm targeting the Kansas City Chiefs defense.
Got your sights set on stream against them?
Yeah, it was a rough outing for Case Keenum because the touchdowns did not go to him. But Blake Bortles has been playing quite well. He's been a quarterback 1 at least 2 times this season already. And in a good matchup, Blake Bortles is able to get it done. When Leonard Fournette is out, the Jaguars air it out more, and they put more on Blake Bortles' shoulders. T.J. Yeldon, excellent pass-catching running back. So this is where I'm going. I got a snake. Me and Blake.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I got a snake, man.
Thank you.
I'm going with Andy Dalton. He's been matchup-proof this year. He's played Baltimore. He's played in Carolina. He hasn't given you a dud game. He's the number 9 quarterback on the season, and his ownership percentage is still down there. I mean,
he's a stream for weeks. I mean, he's the locked-in starter. Hopefully you pick him up to stream, and then you just get to play him.
Yeah, he takes on Miami this week. Tyler Boyd is making him dangerous. Mixon comes back, most likely. We don't know that definitively. But either way, you have value out of the backfield, whether it's Mixon or Bernard. You get those cheap yards, those cheap points. And I think Dalton is a great stream this week. I'm going to stay in those red flames.
I am going to go with a pick that was one of my preseason hype guys that really cooled off with poor preseason and then early injuries, but exploded this last week and has a great matchup. This is Marcus Mariota.
Did he come back together, though?
Yes, he has reassembled. His elbow looked fine. He was able to actually go deep with some passes, 69% completion percentage. We saw the big game from Corey Davis. Taywan Taylor is on the field. The offense is looking like it's starting to click a little bit, and that was against a great Philadelphia defense. Now you take on Buffalo, which, they might not be the complete fodder trash of Week 1, but they are definitely an easier matchup than they're below average as a team. So you should be able to score. And the best part is what we saw last week from Marcus Mariota was he rushed the ball as well. And that's the baseline that you want. In fact, the last
10 attempts.
10 attempts, 46 yards, 51 yards the week prior. So with that baseline,
no hesitancy that they're just going to be able to run and contain the Buffalo offense. And then you saw Aaron Rodgers this past week in a similar situation. Rodgers only put up 17 fantasy points against them because they didn't need to.
Yeah, I mean, you can always have those hesitancies in general. I mean, when you're streaming a waiver wire pick, there's a reason they're on the wire. But I want an easier matchup in general, and I think Mariota with his rushing capability, with what Corey Davis has stepped up to this last week, Taywan Taylor, I think he has a good game. You can get him for 250 and 2 touchdowns.
Foot Clan want to remind you, Navy Federal has a mission to put members first by making their financial goals the priority. Receive a lifetime of membership benefits to help you and your family accomplish your life missions, like a full suite of financial products designed to fit your needs, 24/7 live support, and access to over 300 branches on or near military bases. Visit NavyFederal.org for more information. Call 1-888-842-6328 or download the Navy Federal Credit Union app. Message and data rates may apply. Navy Federal is federally insured by NCUA.
Good luck in your waiver wire.
Thank you.
Get ready for the weekend by signing up at draft.com/ballers. You can play some daily. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.